Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a DIY. I'm going to be showing you how I made this no-sew box drawstring bag, and the secret ingredient is a Sephora gift bag. Okay guys, so yes, I did make this purse out of a Sephora bag. What you're going to do is you're going to start out by removing these strings. You can put these aside. I thought I was going to reuse them, but I ended up not. And what I like about Sephora bags, for the most part, they're pretty sturdy, so I don't have to necessarily worry too much about the base of it, but I am going to be adding a layer of protection to strengthen this so that it doesn't rip or break when I'm using it as a purse. I don't know why I can't remember what this is called right now. I'll put everything in the description, but I believe this is Fusible. It's Fleece, Fusible fabric. And I got Fleece because it's thicker and it has like a more plush feel. So what you're going to do is you're just going to trace and outline the box bag. But you're going to want to repeat that on each side. So I'm going to do it for the sides, the bottom, and obviously double for the front and the back. I want each side to be cushioned very well, even though my main concern is really the bottom. After that, you're going to cut it out. Nothing fancy here. Try to cut up straight on the lines. I don't really do that well. It's probably because I'm vision impaired, and when I'm cutting and I don't have my eyes kind of want to be nearsighted and farsighted when I'm cutting. So things get a little funky and like cross, and I don't really cut on the lines. But just try and cut on the lines. This doesn't have to be perfect. Again, this is just really to add some extra cushion and padding to the Sephora bag, because it can be flimsy the heavier the bag gets. So I just want to make sure that it has cushion and it's sturdy. So actually guys, after I cut the side pieces, I realized it's just easier to get one long rectangle piece, and then I'm going to double up the base, just for the base, and place it in the center like this. I'm going to use the glue on each side to secure this, but it was easier that way. So yeah, here with the hot glue, I love to use Gorilla Glue hot glue because I feel like it's the strongest. I'm going to work on the bottom first, and I'm going to start with this piece right here. Have your glue handy. This happens to me a lot. And I'm going to start with this piece and just glue it on. Nothing fancy here, just going to glue it on. I'm then going to continue with my square pieces and glue on the front and the back. Again, nothing fancy here. If you have more glue, I was kind of being a little cheap here because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough at the end of this project. I would use more. It doesn't hurt. It's good to just make sure that this is secure, but you could use just the amount that I'm using here on the corners. This worked too. I did use this bag. By the time you guys are seeing this video, I used it at a wedding, and it literally gave me no issues all night. So once those pieces are on, I'm just going to go ahead and glue this last rectangular piece, and this will be it for the Fusible fabric. This piece, I kind of wanted to just make sure everything was tight and taut. So you're going to see me glue it on here, and then after I glue up the sides, I'm going to make sure that every little corner is kind of turned in, either into the box or into the other piece of fabric, so that it's just neat and put together. what it's going to look like once all the ends are tucked in. Very neat, sturdy, plush, soft. On to the next phase. So moving on to the fabric stage, I'm doing the same thing, guys. So I'm cutting out the same, it's like a box for the front, a box for the back, the sides, the bottom. But the difference is I'm doubling the fabric here. I wanted it to not, like, I didn't want to run into it possibly being see-through or just not being, kind of having the thickness I wanted it to have. I wanted this to like look a little like a plush bag. I didn't want it to look cheap. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know. I just needed 2 layers, so I'm going to go ahead and do the same process here. Cut those layers out, and then I'll show you guys how I put it together. It's like slightly different, but pretty much the same. And before we even get to that, I'm going to glue the 2 layers together. I guess I thought that I explained that, but no. So yeah, that's what you're going to see me do here. I'm just going to glue these together because they're going to be used as individual pieces, but I'm just doubling up again on the layers for thickness. Oh, I forgot about this, oops. So, because I'm not sewing this and I don't want you to see this like glued kind of side, the idea is to leave a little opening, the same way you would if you were sewing this and making like a pillow, to flip the fabric inside out so that these like edges that look really hardened by the glue are not showing, and it kind of creates a seam even though there is no thread. If you don't leave enough room for the hole, it's going to take you a minute like it took me to get it out. So I would suggest on the last side that you have to glue, just leave about 2 to 3 inches, flip that fabric inside out, and then you can go back in from the outside and glue it closed. So after you do the sides, you'll have 2 for the sides, obviously, and you're going to also want to do 1 more. You could do the same exact side. This is for the drawstring bag that goes inside of the bag. This is also optional if you don't want the drawstring, you just want to make a regular box bag. You don't need it, but you would do the same process. You can make it the same size, and then you'll have 3 of these rectangle-ish squares. Unfortunately, guys, my camera cut out and I didn't realize it, so I started to glue this. This is the base piece. All I did was take the 2 square-ish rectangulars and I put them on the sides of it, and this will be the bottom of the bag. So you see what I did here? I just glued these to it. Once it's glued on, make sure that this is secure, and then you are going to go ahead and grab the 2 side pieces and essentially do the same thing. So it's going to look kind of like a cross before we place the box bag in the center. You're just going to want the base piece, the 2 side pieces, and then I'll show you in the next step what we'll do to add this to the bag. So once those are glued on, here I'm just showing you guys what essentially I'm going to do. So I'm going to be pulling in the sides first, and they're going to get glued this way. So the way I'm doing this, I'm testing to show you what it's going to look like. Then I will come with the top pieces, tuck those in as well, and glue them. It's not really hard to do. You just want to kind of watch while you're doing it and make sure that everything's flush and just looks seamless. Especially because I'm not sewing this. I didn't want, when you get close to the bag, you can tell that it was glued. So I'm going to just go in and make sure that there's no little holes, no little openings, and that everything is nice and taut. So the last part of this DIY, again, is the drawstring bag. This is optional. You don't have to do this. I ended up actually undoing the top of the bag just so that it could hang over and give me a little bit more fabric. But basically, I'm taking this and I'm going to place the drawstring on the inside just to see how much I need to glue. Now, I'm using laces drawstring right now. I'm going to switch this out for a thicker one, but you want to make sure that you give yourself extra room. The string has to go through this opening, and if it's too tight or the glue has hardened and moved around, you're going to have a hard time. So once you're sure of the size, you want to fold that over and glue it. And then after you do both sides, what's going to basically happen is you're going to use a safety pin on the end of the drawstring and just do a push-pull method to get it all the way through. Oh, and depending on how you want your drawstrings to hang, if you want it to be like a double drawstring, you're going to repeat the same process on the other side with another string and just go in the opposite direction, so you have four essentially pieces of strings hanging out on both sides that you will use to tighten. Now, the final part, you're just going to take your little bag, stuff it inside, y'all. And like I said, I have now 4 strings that are on the outside of the drawstring. I'm definitely changing these out, guys. I don't like that they're black. I want pink ones. But you want the bag to sit up to a certain height. This allows me to open it, put things inside, but you could still see the drawstring portion even when it's tight. It's not like hanging inside of the bag. After I do this, I'm just going to glue this to the side so it doesn't move around, and then we are done with this portion, and there's one step left. For this last step, guys, I'm going to go ahead and glue on this chain. I tied a piece of fabric around it because the fabric will stick better to fabric than this chain will with the glue. And basically all I did was just tie 2 little knots, glued it to both sides, and that's pretty much it for the bag, guys. If you feel safer, you can secure the sides with thread by hand. But again, the reason I tie these little 2 bows is to create a fabric on fabric effect. The glue works better that way, and I don't have to worry about the chain accidentally sliding off. And here's the look all together. Like I said, I wore this for my cousin's wedding. It held up really well. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like and comment below. Also, stick around and subscribe.